see a much more unified internet over time. I do agree with that.
但是也许这个从长期来说啊 ，if we're looking forward to the next decade， 50到60年，但在短期来说，我个人并不是非常乐观。比如说，我们从这次的中国跟西方发生的西藏风波，我们可以看所有的年轻人，不管是在西方还是东方，用的是也许都是用英语。在我的博客上，许多的人都吵得一塌糊涂。但是，虽然我们有一个共同的传播手段，甚至像刚才鲍威尔先生和辛二先生说的，有了一个共同的语言，或者这种语言的文化的冲突正在越来越缩小，但是我们可以看到人的双方的思维上的冲突一点都没有缩小。他们用了一种共同的平台，甚至用共同的语言在重复他们的思维上的逻辑。
Absolutely. I think, the point you make is valid, but I think it's the process of unification has begun, and I don't know whether it's going to be a 10-year horizon or a 20-year or a 30-year horizon, but somewhere out in the future, you're going to see a greater unification, even though the regional differences are going to be there in terms of people will start to appreciate differences because they'll belong to certain communities online where they can see the counterpoints, if you will.
So I think responding to your comment about the debates,
right.
I think there needs to be a greater degree of understanding of different people around the world. And that understanding must begin by people being able to share their perspectives. So I think that perspective may sound like violent disagreements, but I think it's a very healthy thing. Because that only through expressing their perspective and knowing that there are other perspectives that exist can the people around this world come to an understanding. Mm-hmm. If I could also make a comment to Mr. Powell's question about Web 3.0 and the difference between younger, older, different citizens of the world. I believe the next wave in Web 3.0 is going to be about granularization, and personalization. That means today the portals and the search engines have a lot of power in controlling and what users see. And I think that freedom needs to be given back to the people. So one of the efforts Google is undertaking is called iGoogle and gadgets. And without explaining a lot of details, basically gadgets, think of them as tiny little websites, right? One might be the time of day content. One might be a joke a day. One might be learning English words. One might be news about international. Another might be the Tencent sports news or the Seoul Olympic news. And there would be millions of these. And then it's no longer up to a portal to program content for the user, but the user gets to search and program his or her own content. And I think that is an amazing wave that will give the power back to the user, so the user will choose what he or she wants to see, regardless of age and regardless of what country he or she is in.
Actually, very much support what Kai-Fu said about what internet actually provides is a venue for people to communicate. And I think that's actually the most important thing. I don't think the world would become unified, but I think the world can become a world in which people understand each other much better. And I think there will be also issues in which people unified around. For example, environmental protection, for example, helping the poor, for example, education. I think there are a lot of things that people can actually do. And I think internet provides that venue for people to communicate, understand each other, and collaborate. And I think that's a trend which cannot be reversed. And I think it's the responsibility of everyone around here to make sure that that happens. And in that process, there may be hiccups. In which people disagree and people argue, but I think that's just part of the process, which eventually will lead to some positive things.
Yeah, actually, frankly speaking, on one side, I agree with you, yeah, in the sense that people can communicate with each other, in the sense of mutual understanding, yeah, like the young generation. But on the other side, I'm not truly convinced, because if you look at the existing international order, we can see in the next decades or in the rest of the time in the centuries, there will be a huge competition. Mr. Powell, do you think really that China and the United States can reduce or minimize their gap, their You know, this competition, potential of competition in the rest of the 20th century by using the same platform of internet.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Who can be sure of anything, but yes. In fact, I have been searching for a word other than competition. Competition suggests that you may still be thinking in old terms, that if you're competing, somebody wins and somebody has to lose. But what I see happening, being driven mostly by economic developments and the desire for China and other Asian nations and Russia and other Eastern European nations who all wish to create wealth for the benefit of their people, along the model of what Deng Xiaoping did some 30 years ago. We now must create wealth. And that wealth creation engine over the last several decades have put us on a path to the greatest period of wealth creation in the history of mankind. And so I think with the international agreements that have come about with respect to the World Trading Organization, how to manage trade, with the kinds of efforts that people are making not to get in competition with each other but to collaborate with each other, I don't think it is necessary to predict that China and the United States are in some kind of competitive collision course. I think the course we are on is how to get along with each other, how to work together so that we benefit both peoples. It won't be easy. You can see in my country trade disputes. Are free trade agreements good or bad? And so we will continue to have those kinds of disputes. And history has not gone away. Culture has not gone away. Language differences have not gone away. But I believe the power of the internet, and the power of the information revolution, and the convergence of computers and websites and telephony all together give us the opportunity to break down barriers that have existed in the past and to deal with problems that will come up in the future. So my own personal view, not the view of my government, my own personal view is that we have the opportunity to go forward on a different model than just competition, a model where we are able to use the power of the internet and the economic revolution to benefit all people, so that nobody wins and nobody loses, but all benefit and all rise together.
2000多年前，当基督教刚刚产生的时候，人们完全无法预料这一新兴宗教后来将对人类产生多大的作用。1000年前，当中国刚刚结束唐朝这一鼎盛时期的时候，人们同样无法预料中国从跌入低谷到后来重新崛起，追赶汉唐之梦将用整整1000年的时间。因此，当我们今天讨论只有短短10几年历史的互联网时，我们同样无法预料未来的1、2千年，甚至本世纪未来的92年，我们的生活将因此而变成一种什么样的状态。但不管如何，互联网正在迅速而深刻地改变着这个地球上的一切互动方式。感谢您的关注，也感谢您收看这一季的《震海听风录》，我们下周同时间再见。